We'll start with a prayer, pledge of allegiance. I've asked Commissioner Owens to pass the pledge of giving us the invocation.
And it is a pleasure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for blessing us, Lord, today. Lord, our presence today alone, Lord, is considered a blessing. And it's a joy to be with our colleagues, with our citizens, Lord, to lift up this county, Lord, to make it even greater. Lord, we ask your blessing upon our county. We ask your blessing upon our decisions today. We ask your blessing upon the participation from the audience. So, Lord, we just lift up this county, this state, and this nation, and put it under your hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call to order our regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners, October 7th, 2015. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for September 2nd, 2015, and a special session on September 4th, 2015. Are there any corrections?
Madam Chairman, one editorial I didn't get a chance to make note of on page 8.
Yes, sir.
On the second sentence, it says we must consider what we are doing in this time frame. Did we that again?
Okay. There is no additional corrections, just like, capitalization or something made. Any other corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
So moved. Third.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Before you have the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Okay.
Madam Chairman, I would ask, I don't know if this is included, but we need an update on the request from the Board of Education about building a new school. In other words, we were scheduling Mel Root. We need to have that discussion.
I was going to mention that during the manager's report because of several emails you received yesterday.
Do we need to include the health department Medicaid costs?
Yes, ma'am. Under old business, I know Mr. Lambert with Atlas is here today. If under old business, if you would like to add the GIS discussion.
Okay, so we add GIS discussion, that would make number 9, item historic courthouse update.
Update on the delegations.
Yes, but I do not feel that perhaps the discussion needs to take place then.
We're going to delete that.
No, he's going to speak, but I feel like the further discussion would need to be held under old business since we voted in the past for an RFP to go out regarding services. Also, the nursing home committee update. There was a response from Deborah Sheard.
Number 10.
Yes, and then under new business, I propose adding the health department discussions.
And so that would add, of course, our numbers would be off, but 13 would be under new business, which is not really 13.
Now, the update on the available capacity of our sewage, existing sewage plants, is that going to come under the capacity update?
We actually do not have an update today from Mesco.
All right. Madam Chair, I give you a call.
Yes.
Is that something we
and we have asked for, and we just have not, Mike McAllister has not responded. I mean, he's getting the information. So we
He
have,
does not have, he did not give me any numbers the other day.
but he's aware of what aware, and he's working on it. And
We can do that in closed session.
correct. Okay, so you've heard the adjustments to the agenda under old business. We're going to add 9 to GIS discussion and 10 to nursing home committee. And then under new business, we'll do the health department Medicaid cost settlement. Okay, do I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as adjusted?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, properly second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so the agenda is amended as adjusted. Okay, next item is the delegation or public comment. And Roger Smith, good morning, Mr. Smith.
Good morning, Chairman Hoffler, Commissioner Owens, Commissioner
Jordan will do.
Jordan. And you'll have to forgive me, but I have so much on my agenda, Commissioner Felton and Commissioner Freeman. My name is Roger Van Smith, and I'm here unsolicited as far as your agenda is concerned, but as a director of Smith Buckland Incorporated and the Bakers of Buckland Society Incorporated, a nonprofit corporation chartered here in the state of North Carolina. And the purpose of my being here, it's not the nursing home this time, it deals with the origin of Gates County. As it turns out, I represent the owner where Gates County took its name. The Baker family of Buckland put forth the bill to the North Carolina State Legislature going back to the 1700s to form Gates County out of Hertford County and Clements County. Gates County was formed as a result of that bill. But as those of you who are familiar with Buckland, you see the history of Buckland, and Buckland is fast deteriorating. And if it's not stabilized, if it's not restored, it will really be history. It's a National Historic Site. The information in that certification by the state and by the federal government is incorrect. Buckland was finished the way it stands now, not in 1795, but in 1775, before Gates County became a county, before the United States became the United States, and before, of course, North Carolina became a state of the United States. There's lots of other sideline history with that, but as a director of both the owners, Smith Buckland Incorporated, and the Bakers of Buckland, who originally received the land grant from the King of England in 1667 to establish Buckland, and that goes back almost 400 years now. That aside, Smith Buckland is given a proposal to the county commissioners, if you will consider it. They will restore Buckland Plantation House, but only from the fact if this county government will come up for a use for Buckland Plantation. Now, one of your commissioners, the commissioner who represents the district in which I reside, Gatesville, Commissioner Owens, has mentioned something about a senior citizen center. If you will consider using Buckland to be that senior citizen center, and I can go into more depth and more details a little later with the county manager or with a committee of the commissioners, we will restore Buckland. My family right now, who happens to be the owners, Smith Buckland Incorporated, a closely held corporation, will not restore it simply from the fact they do not want to waste any more money on seeing a structure just sit there and be vandalized by the general public. The family has put out over $10,000 to stabilize the structure, and it's only been vandalized, and the deterioration is really great now. You can go on the internet and you can see the inside of Buckland Plantation the way it happens to be. But I assure you, it was not that way in 1986. A person could actually live in it in 1986. I had the pleasure of spending quite a few years there. As a matter of fact, Buckland Elementary, or Buckland School, excuse me, it's not an elementary school now, is a development. It comes out of Buckland Plantation, and it is a gift to this county by my late father. There is a lot of history to this county which is associated with Buckland Plantation. And it goes back, for those of us who are Baptists, the Roanoke Baptist Association and the Middle Ground Union and New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, which my family has always been associated with since it was established. But the monies for even the creation of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church came from the owner of Buckland Plantation, who happened to have been the owner of some of my ancestors. But anyway, that's the proposal I was sent here to present to you as the commissioners, the governing body of this county. Smith Buckland, in conjunction with the Baker family, the Bakers of Buckland Society, will restore Buckland Plantation, and they only ask for a year to come up with a feasible plan, sitting down with the county to utilize that site as a senior citizens activity center. And Commissioner Owens, there are 3 counties in North Carolina which do not have a senior citizen activity center, not just Gates County. Gates is just one of 3. And that's not to throw any stones at you, sir. It's just to correct. I went to the Department of Health and Human Services, and they corrected me on that information that I had submitted, which was a follow-up for what your comments happened to have been and your comments to the Board of Commissioners. Anyway, one final point. Before I attended law school, I was the financial director of all of the senior citizen centers for the city of New York. I do know how a senior citizen center operates from head to toe as far as governance happens to be concerned. Of course, each state has its own way of governing under federal law, but I do know that there are some problems as far as using Buckland to be a senior citizen center. But one of the things that Smith Buckland has stated in its directors meeting, if the county will favorably consider Buckland, Smith Buckland will add a facility which will be ADA compliant. And even in architectural plans to restore Buckland, you can come up with plans which would be acceptable to the federal government, which would be ADA compliant, so you can actually utilize the structure as it exists today itself. And with that, if there are any questions, I will entertain your questions. And for you, Ms. Roundtree, I have something that I write each month as opposed to emailing it to the commissioners. If I can just give it to you and you can give it to the commissioners.
One question that I would have. At that location, where the Buckland House is,
Yes.
it's on a deed that stands alone with how many acres?
The house itself is deeded, well, it's not deeded, but there is a plot that was made by the former president of Smith Buckland Incorporated, which consists of 1 acre, but the property itself has 97 acres, and then there's another 3 acres which happen to be owned by my nieces. They will work in conjunction with Smith Buckland to make it 100 acres. Then there's the site across Hackley Road, which would be on the eastern side, on which you have Buckland School. There are 90 acres there, which happens to be owned by my nieces and my nephews. And they will even put that into an overall plan, if it's necessary. Now, as far as the Buckland is concerned, anything that the county, if the county should do anything, Smith Buckland will not give up its ownership. And this goes back to a promise that my father and his siblings, my uncles and aunts, made to the Rooks family. And my family is part of the Rooks family. As a matter of fact, David Rooks was my great-grandfather. My name, but for servitude, would be Rooks and not Smith. Are there any more questions?
Yes. This is such a coincidence, but I'm a member of the Adult Aging Task Force of Gates County. I'm on that board. And one of the things that the board has brought to the commissioners is the development of a senior center. We looked at several sites, and Friday, October the 9th, at 9 o'clock, we're having a board meeting. Certainly this would be a fantastic time and opportunity to present to that board what you have presented to us this morning, because the board is in the process of outlining a budget and presenting the feasible site for a proposed senior center. And certainly this would fit right into what we're trying to do. So, if at all possible, I would ask that if you wouldn't mind, if you could be there on Friday at 9 o'clock, you can contact Ms. Antoinette Holly, who's the director of social services, and she can put you on the agenda. As a matter of fact, I will contact as well in addition to you. And this would certainly be something that would be considered. And it's a great proposal, and I'd like to see, if you use it, if that's the most feasible purpose for it. So if you are able to do that.
Well, the good Lord spares me to see Friday, I will be there if it's His will.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too, if I may. And that is the cemetery that's on the grounds, is that a family cemetery or?
It is a family cemetery. As a matter of fact, there is history there too. The county may not be aware of it, but although my late father had to earn his livelihood in Hertford County and in Newport News, Virginia, and in Brooklyn, New York, we were blessed always to have Buckland as being one of my family's homes. In March of 2007, President Bush put forth a proposal to honor the Tuskegee Airmen fighter pilots during World War II. Two of my late brothers were fighter pilots. One is buried at Buckland. The other plane was shot down over North Korea. His body was not recovered. We are proposing, the family's proposing to put a marker there, but Gates County has a distinction. It's the smallest place in the United States that has the distinction of having two gold medal honored, congressional gold medal honored Tuskegee Airmen fighter pilots who originated from Buckland Plantation. There's some other history there too. I will not go into that. Are there any more questions?
I just had, I've worked with Buckland or know a lot about Buckland from my study of history, but It is on a National Historic Site. When you talk about going and making a senior center, you know, there are a lot of requirements.
That's why I'm an attorney. We will work around those requirements.
Because I know a few years ago, there was an offer by Preservation North Carolina, and then at the end, the family, one person did not go along with it.
It was more than one person.
Okay.
The reason why Buckland Plantation exists as part of the family now, you were speaking to the person who's the impetus behind that. My late mother gave me instructions after I finished law school to bring the family together. The corporation that was formed to hold Buckland, to keep it as part of our family, goes back to my great-great-grandmother, who was brought here in servitude to the Baker family between the years 1819 and 1820. There was a promise that was made by all of the heirs, one of those heirs being my late father, to my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, that we would keep Buckland as part of our family. It goes back to the owner, the last owner, majority owner, Samuel Edward Smith. And along with that, the promise was that we would keep Buckland. And my mother ensured that that promise was maintained. That's the reason why that did not come off. If you go a little deeper, you will find out in 1986, we had a proposal with an architect, Shirley Van, out of Murfreesboro, to restore Buckland. We had a couple of shareholders in the corporation who, for whatever reason, did not go forward with their part of the agreement, and Buckland was not restored. But the central problem has always existed. Gates County currently does not have the financial structure or the economic structure to make restoring Buckland viable. It would be a waste of money just to pour out money to restore something just to see the public come in and destroy it. And so, as things happen to turn out, with the proposal that Commissioner Owen stated about a senior citizen center, this was an idea that the shareholders said they could live with. And by the grace of God, the family has the means to restore Buckland.
Thank you. Will.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments from the audience? Okay, if not, moving to the ninth delegation, Case Lambert.
Good morning. I'm Hayes Lambert with Atlas. I'm a president and project manager with Atlas. About 6 or 7 weeks ago, we caught wind that Gates County was having some issues with the GIS website and that the data on the GIS website that we were responsible for hosting and maintaining. At that point, we take this issue very seriously, and we have made numerous visits to the county and trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. Gates County is extremely important to us. Our company's been around for 10 years, and Gates was, I believe, our second client. Terrell County was our first, Gates our second. We have a tremendous history in Gates County, which I'll kind of go into now and bring you to where we are today and how we feel like we can rectify the situation. About 10 years ago, when we first started in Gates County, we were working in the 911 department. We've continued to work with 911. We recently completed a project for Billy Felton and Herman. We are told that project was a success. The CAD's implemented. We actually gave Gates County some consulting as far as what equipment to buy and that sort of thing. All pro bono. Gates County is important to us. We want to see Gates succeed. About 2005, we started the mapping project for the tax assessor, Renee McGinnis, at that time. The project was to map the entire county by deeds and plats. So just without getting too technical, we use the existing timber maps, we use the existing tax maps, and then we use the tax database to guide us to the legal document. Well, in a best case scenario, we would map every parcel by survey if it was reported and referenced in the tax database. Unfortunately, the tax database over time did not reference all these surveys. So we would read the deed. If the survey was available, we would map that property by survey. Then we would have to resort to, if the deed didn't give a good description, as many properties in Gates don't, a lot of the descriptions are bounded by the north by this owner, the east by this owner, south, west. You have to use the acreage, you have to use the old tax maps, which were essentially just kind of a circle drawn on a map. Then you have to use the ability of the GIS and to kind of create the acreages. So, to make a long story short, the way that project ended, and I think we picked up the maintenance on that in about 06, 07. At the tail end of that project, for about 2 months, I personally, as I was one of the original mappers on that project, I personally spent 6 weeks of my life with Renee in the vault in her old office, and we just tried to figure out some of these difficult timber properties and some of the more difficult properties that we couldn't establish the owner with. We couldn't get the acreages right. And this is the kind of thing that happens with any mapping project by deed. The thing that's kind of unique to Gates County, Gates County is one of the last counties to map by deed. Gates County, then Carroll County, Hyde County, then a county in the mountains that we didn't do. But after that project, we knew there were issues. Our client, Renee, knew, the assessor knew there were issues. At that point, what was supposed to happen, and what we felt was happening, was on a monthly basis. Unfortunately, it ended up being quarterly, and biannual is what happened. Renee would send us an update package, and it was very well done. It contained all the splits, all the combinations, all the merges, and we would update that data, update the GIS website. Now, this was only happening 2 or 3 times a year, so the transfers, you weren't seeing the properties that didn't have any mapping involved, you weren't seeing updated on the website. And that, that's one of the things moving forward that we would like to do, update this on a more regular basis. But along with those mapping changes, Renee would send us revisions from Mr. Felton had sent her some revisions that would come in through email, other property owners, but it was my understanding that Renee was real. She did not like to just say, okay, you need to move this property line because this property owner says it should be here versus here. She would ask for a deed to be developed, or I'm sorry, a survey to be created, and then she would send us a survey and we would correct those. We also, on occasion, spent some time with Mr. Felton, about half a day. Just obviously, local knowledge is the best knowledge, and we corrected some of that data. Well, 18 months to 24 months ago, Renee moved on. We had some new county staff, and about 18 months ago, I held a meeting with Kathy and Jennifer to try to put together a process of how we needed to move forward on this maintenance. And we kind of were going in we were using the mold that had already been established, and it's my mistake for not saying, just because in the past we've been updating this data 2 to 3 times a year, we need to be doing it more than that. We need to be doing it on a monthly basis. And honestly, after that meeting, I went back to my daily job and putting out fires right and left and do what I'm supposed to be doing. And you know, we speaking for me and my right-hand people, Trey and Joe and the people that I depend on, we sincerely thought that everything was fine in Gates, and it wasn't until 6 or 7 weeks ago that we were aware of the severe situation here, and that's why I'm standing here today, and we take it extremely seriously, and we want an opportunity to make it right, because not only is it's Gates County and the reference and the thought of losing one of our smaller North Carolina first clients, it's quite devastating, and we don't want that to happen, and we're willing to do pro bono work, come up here, work with everybody involved, all the key players, and put together a workflow and make it right. And we would appreciate that opportunity. I would also encourage y'all, when you do discuss this issue, to call your surrounding counties who also have long-term relationships with us, from Chowan County to Hertford County to Martin County. We work with a lot of people around here, and I think they will tell you that we stand by our word, and I think there was just kind of a miscommunication here, and I will take full responsibility, but I'd also like the responsibility to make it right. One last thing, we totally understand the fact that the GIS website in Gates County has become the GIS, if you will, program for Gates County. You don't have it on a staff GIS. You don't have the ability to create custom analysis, and Gates is a small county, but you still qualify for that need. We assist other counties in finding that person, and if you need a piece of GIS software on site and somebody trained that can do some of these more in-depth analysis that you can't do on the GIS website, we'd be glad to help there. You know, that's just that's what I wanted to say, and I appreciate y'all allowing me to say that. And once again, I think you can. I feel it's kind of been a miscommunication, and once again, I take responsibility for when new personnel came. I should have spearheaded it a little more and made certain that there was an established workflow. And what my proposal is to, given the opportunity, is to meet with the groups, all the key stakeholders, put together a monthly meeting. As of just this week, I spoke with the tax vendor, that Keystone, that Kathy's been working with for some time, and we finally got the conversion complete. And good news yesterday, she said that I should be able to get a tax database here soon. So a lot of the issues that you were seeing on the GIS, yes, when a line is in the wrong location, that's the mapping. That needs to be communicated to us in some shape or fashion, and we will fix it. But some of these other issues that you've seen on the GIS website over the past 12 to 14 months, where it's the wrong owner, that was it's with any county, any tax conversion, it's a major issue, and they were not able to export that file to us until now. It's almost there, and it was the nature of the beast. And I think this escalated without everybody having kind of a good knowledge of where it stood, and I took that for granted. So if y'all have any questions, I'd love to try to answer them.
Yes, indeed. How did you learn about this? Was it through the RFP that we issued to?
No, sir. we normally do with our local clients is we try to make a courtesy call every month or two and just make the rounds, just to make sure everybody's doing right. It's good. This business is built on relationships, and that's what we do. We had not dropped by Gates County in a few months. My partner Larry dropped by 6-7 weeks ago, and frankly, Larry called me and he's like, "What's going on?" He was just blindsided. We did not realize this was going on, and as soon as we figured this out, this is my third trip to the county. I met with Ms. Roundtree, Ms. Baptiste, and Kathy just right after this happened. We talked about the issues. I understand their concerns greatly. I've actually received some emails over the past few weeks of issues that frankly are kind of the challenges we've been seeing. Some of these larger properties that we don't have surveys for and don't really know who they belong to. It's going to take some. Those are the issues that were outstanding with the original mapping project, and until a survey or we're told by the powers that be, this line needs to be moved here and this sort of thing, those issues are going to remain. But that data over time cleans itself up. And this is a rather new project, as I was saying earlier that it was one of the last in the states. Most of your surrounding counties were done in the mid to late 80s to early 90s. So over time, the data cleans itself up.
Would you be willing, and I mean, this is a question strictly coming from just what I'm thinking right
Yes,
now. I'm not sure that this is going to be the process. But would you be willing to respond to the RFP? I know you said that you'd be willing to try to work with us pro bono. Obviously, to have an outline of what you would do to rectify the situation would be better on in detail in something like a request for proposal rather than just take it on face value.
By all means, we would appreciate that opportunity, and we feel with just the history we have in Gates County from, back in 2005, all the deeds and everything that you see online, we were responsible for putting those up there with the old register of deeds, and we, some of the OLF mapping, we did that. There's just so many things that we feel like would greatly benefit our proposal to an RFP like that. So if that opportunity presents, we will surely submit on it.
Any additional comments, or we'll wait till we talk about it at during our new business?
I have a couple of statements, a couple of questions. Certainly, if the RFP is out there.
Okay.
Certainly, if you participate in the RFP process, from what I'm hearing from you, you probably have the only firm to have a pro bono statement in the RFP.
Well,
so that certainly wouldn't hurt you to participate in that process. But I do want to tell you two things. You said that Hereford County is one of your clients.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was at their Register of Deeds office about 2 weeks ago doing a search on a piece of property, and I used their computer. They're in that new location, that new courthouse area, and I used their computer right there outside
their kiosk, their local kiosk.
Kiosk, really neat, and I was blown away how good it was. But it also alarmed me that how different it was from ours.
Okay.
And there's probably you probably touched on some reasons for that. But I mean, it was friendly, user friendly. It was clear. The graphics and the fonts were big enough. You didn't have any issues checking the landowners around it or little things. And if you know what that looks like, that's what we're after.
What you have there in Hereford County, we did their recent addressing project. We didn't do their tax parcel mapping.
Mm-hmm.
Their project was done years ago, but they did a 911 project not too long ago, and we did that. Hertford County, you have a very, very talented GIS person there, Sarah Turner.
Gates County.
She's from Gates County. Sarah, I know Sarah very well, and she's very talented. One of the best in the industry that I know. And you have the capability on a local type kiosk type environment like in Hertford to buy a piece of software and have a more enhanced GIS. That's kind of what I was referencing. And that's something that we can assist y'all in, certainly.
And the other statement, and both of these things are very fresh. This past Saturday, and this is a face-to-face comment, and not hearsay. Trees being harvested in Gates County. The logging company is there harvesting land. The guy pulls up in a pickup and says, "Hey, you're cutting my trees." A different landowner. So that's how serious it is.
Right. Do you know if there's a survey for that property?
Well, I'm not going to get into it.
Okay. Well, if something came up like that, a survey will answer the question.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's how serious
it is. Serious. You're exactly right. And we see banks using these GIS sites for closing business, and that kind of makes us nervous. I'm really surprised they do that, but we realize how important the GIS is, and the GIS resource is only as valuable as the data within it. So.
I think it's very important that we get our GIS correct, because most people don't read the disclaimer that this is not the official document, that the deeds are in the register of deeds. A lot of people take it as gospel what's on that GIS. And currently there's a piece of property being sold in the county that the realtor has advertised for a lot more acreage than it actually is. But he said, well, I got it on GIS.
Mm-hmm.
But we have that disclaimer on it that it's not the legal official document. So,
Well,
and like you say, the bank is taking it,
Yeah.
a lot of these realtors take it, and
Well,
then somebody's going to get it on the short end.
You have control on your GIS website what kind of data you can make come out, what you can put out there. A lot of assessors don't like to actually put the calculated acreage out there for that very reason. But we're working in the city of Atlanta, DeKalb County, Georgia, even in a really complex environment like that. The GIS, no matter how tight it is a tool that is supposed to take you to the legal document, and it's never going to be as accurate as the legal document, and it's not. It isn't a legal document, so it's meant to be a tool. But that being said, it's meant to have correct ownership. It's meant to have the data is supposed to be high quality, and I think. What has happened here is, first of all, the update wasn't being done. It was only being done 2 to 3 times a year, and that's simply clearly not enough. That was the direction we were given, and we felt like we were doing what we were supposed to. Now I think we need to help kind of lead this process and update on a more frequent basis.
Well, thank you. It's been very informative, and
Just one comment for further discussion. To the best of my knowledge, this RFP has not been released yet.
We did in,
and so we will talk about that later in this morning, hopefully. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you
joining.
for inviting me.
Okay, moving on, that was only a night's delegation. Moving on to administrative reports, we'll begin with our county manager.
This is for August 20th through September 21st. On September 8th, Staff Conservation provided a memo outlining proposed steps for bird testing. A full report outlining her proposed next step will be forthcoming. I received that this morning and spoke with her on the phone about 20 till 9. That is a report that Melissa has placed at each of your spots. There's also a discussion later on the historic courthouse update. On September 18th, the Gatesville Elementary 3rd graders were given a tour of the historic courthouse by Chair Hopper to prepare for their Gates County history lesson. New ductwork is needed in the EIC building. A contractor has been identified for the work. Once the ductwork is replaced, the building will be cleaned and retested by the EI group. Testing will then help the county determine the next steps for that building. The Gates County Community Center was awarded 5 play prints by Blue Cross Blue Shield. The play prints are ground markings of colorful images, shapes, and games painted on pavement. And they will be put in sometime before June 30th. August 20th through 21st, Chair Hawthorne and I attended the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners annual meeting in Greenville. September the 1st, Joe Carroll and I attended the RC&D meeting in Edenton. Current projects were highlighted, and counties are encouraged to utilize RC&D for future conservation or water-related projects. One of the things that we did, Mr. Helen and I thought about, was the proposed Gatlington access, river access. But we will need to speak and work in conjunction with wildlife in order to do that. Mr. Helen and I have not met since then due to various conflicts of dates, but we are going to get together to try to talk about that, contact wildlife, and see if that is an idea that will work with RC&D. September 4th, there was a joint Board of Commissioners and Board of Elections meeting, Board of Education meeting. On September the 11th, I attended the Hertford Gate Soil and Water Conservation Annual Planning Meeting. Agencies attending shared what they have been working on and how it relates to the Soil and Water Conservation Agency, and priorities were set for the upcoming year. On September the 16th, I visited the Wakefield National Weather Service Center with Billy Wynn, Herman Wise, James Hollowell, Adrian Bradley, and Carl Cox to learn how the center operates and weather advisories are issued. Do you have any questions?
Your first entry of courthouse, is that on the 8th or the 18th?
It was on the 18th was when they provided us the memo.
And then on the EIC building, did we put anything in the budget for that?
Yes, there was money in there in the capital improvements. We will be utilizing, there's a few things in the capital that have not used the full amount that was allocated, so money will be used for various projects because this project will exceed the amount that we anticipated.
And has the correction work been done, or have they decided on who to do it?
No, the contractor's been identified. We're waiting on all of the paperwork, and of course, it's been so wet,
Okay.
nothing has been done.
You had very many people to want to do the job?
Chris was required to get 3 bids at least, and she received the 3 bids.
And was wildlife positive in their comments, or?
We've not met with them.
Not met.
Mr. Harrell and I have not been able to get up and talk and figure out what we need to do before we approach them. We also probably need to speak a little bit more with RC&D before we go to wildlife.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a number, if you'll remind me
Okay.
to wildlife give me a telephone call.
Okay, thank
Share
you.
with
All right, the contact Mr. Chuck Howard as a follow-up with our discussion at our last meeting about him doing an assessment for the middle school in regards to a metal roof and also repairs to some of the other issues at the school. I see where you have a proposed date of October 29th. It was previously October 26th or something.
Okay, if I may back up, did anyone have any more questions about this report? Okay, in regards to that one, the 26th, only one person responded, that date was available. Turns out Dr. Williams was not going to be available. He had been called to Raleigh for a meeting, so he has to attend that. Mr. Howard, Dr. Williams and I spoke yesterday, found a few dates that week, and when I spoke with Mr. Howard yesterday, he called me back and left a message that October 29th was the only day he had available that week.
And what time?
He said he, of course, would be here during the day doing their research at the school, but it would be 4 o'clock in the afternoon for the meeting. Dr. Williams notified me yesterday after I let him know about the date that he would be available, he would check with his board, but he knew that people from DPI would not be available to listen to that report. But he said he would be available. So that was what he asked me again this morning when I spoke with him. If I could please confirm the 29th with him. If not, then we need to find another date.
Well, it sounds like the 26th was not necessarily a bad day, you just didn't hear from anyone.
Dr. Williams was not available that day. He has to be in Raleigh.
Yeah, and he was talking to me this morning, he said if that was the only day, that he would make himself available. But of course, he didn't tell me that.
No, he didn't. And Mr. Howard told me the 29th was the only day he had available.
So he's not available on the 26th.
When I talked to him, when I left him a message yesterday, I told him the 26th is not going to work for the superintendent. And he said the 29th was the only day he and his engineer were available.
I guess where we are now is that 29th is the day for me.
I sent her an email last night that said the
Right.
29th was good for me.
And I just need to let him know so that he can make contact and confirm everything.
Okay, we'll check this, 29th at 4 p.m.
Okay. And then also there was an email sent concerning October the 20th. Dr. Williams would like to have a joint meeting between the Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners. It is a Tuesday at 1 p.m. He said the Department of Public Instruction has already confirmed that they will be able to attend a meeting that day. And Dr. Perry, who is the superintendent from Wise County that spoke at our September meeting, has also been invited, and he confirmed with Dr. Williams he is able to attend. Dr. Williams said that there would be people there who could answer questions about funding. There would be questions, he knew last time someone had talked about USDA funding. He said there would be someone there that could address that. And he also indicated that he was doing more research into the leasing options that had been shared with him. So he might have some more information or more questions for various people at that meeting as well.
I think you heard my response.
Right,
I said I could be there for 2 hours.
right.
I might be late, but okay.
So if I could just, if you'll just let me know by the end of the meeting today so that I can confirm with Dr. Williams.
Okay, thank you for your report. We will do the tax. Good morning.
And good morning. How's everyone? Bit of good news. South Data, the Mount Airy firm that we utilize to send out tax bills, has reprogrammed the format so they can now be compatible with Keystone. I will say in the final audit process, there are a few calculate issues that we're resolving. So we're still working on those tax bills. We've not forgotten. People have made prepayments, and that will, continue. Those people who tend to pay early have done so in the form of a prepayment. So there's no interruption, if you will. So I just wanted to mention that, the good news.
Do we have an anticipated date for the tax bills?
If we can get the file to South Data by next Tuesday, they need about 2 days to look at the format, and they will send a proof back to my office, a sampling, if you will. We'll look at those. So we anticipate hopefully middle of next week, for those to be sent to South Data, and they'll be hitting the mailbox. Yes, ma'am. So I want to appreciate everybody's patience, the citizens, the board, certainly on that.
So we anticipate our tax bills coming in next week sometime?
Probably by the end of next week. Yes, ma'am. Okay. The collector's report, you had a chance to view that. Were there any questions or any comments on the collector's report?
I see the prior year percentage, are we missing?
Yes, for that reason, for those bills, and once that's in place, that will be compared to previous.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's like everything's pretty cut and dry.
It is. The main focus, obviously, the tax bills. I will say I had a stern conversation not long ago with the Vice President of Keystone, Mike Lagira, on some issues, that we face. So I do want to mention that. Yeah, that's the main focus, getting the tax bills out. Probably I'm one in this building and this county trying to motivate towards that cause. So thank you.
Could I ask you about these 2 second pages?
Sure.
Utilities and then town.
Yes, that is, was in your package also included, that is from the Department of Revenue. Those are the bills that will be sent separate, if you will, from the regular abstracts by my office. They are appraised by Department of Revenue. They're now doing, because of some Senate bill and some legislation, they are now valuing all the cell towers and things of that nature. So that's their final value.
So do you have it with you today?
Now, did you have a specific question?
Well, just, sometimes the audience, I say things to the audience, just for FYI kind of stuff.
Right.
So I see by this report, in 15-16, Dominion Power will pay $59,407 in taxes.
Yes, but based on the levy, yeah. And any of those with any, I'll say equipment, piping, any electrical that's also within the town of Gatesville, that will be a separate levy as prescribed on their bill, so.
And the closest one to that is Roanoke Electric at $46,507. And then I'll just give one more. Piedmont Natural Gas will pay $34,375. And then after that, they drop off.
Yes, sir, based on valuations. And Department of Revenue, they certify all those values to the county. We do not see those listings specifically based on what those corporations send to Department of Revenue. That's handled by Mike Conley and the Property Tax Division in Raleigh. So, and they report those values to us.
Well, thank you for providing.
Yeah, those will go out
And I
into
would
the
say,
state.
if you look at the 40-15 and 15-16, most of them are decreased.
I saw the decrease.
Yeah, yes,
So,
ma'am.
it's a decrease for the
Yeah.
county. And I think all of us had anticipated that if you kept up with the General Assembly and the way they have written the tax laws.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I noted that too when I was compiling that spreadsheet. Some of them were more disappointing than others. And some of it is minimal regarding what they report. Some of it may be fiber optic, some of it mere pagers, if you will, personal pager systems that are phasing out. So, some of them are kind of minimal in what they report, so.
Well, thank you. That's interesting
Yeah.
information. Okay, we do have some refunds.
Yes, ma'am. One refund, motor vehicle, DMV. That paperwork is attached for your reference. We did look, no additional delinquent taxes of any sort were owed. The amount, $110.06.
Okay, in your booklet, you saw the information from the tax office. Do I hear a motion concerning the refund of $110.06 to the Gates County citizen?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That is
Okay, all right, thank you.
okay. Ms. Pittman is, she's not here.
Pardon me, Madam Chairman, just final invitation. Next Tuesday evening, the board any member of the county, county manager, we're hosting the Ad Valorem Almar Association at Core Peak Country Restaurant. We invite you to come out if you wish. It's $16.95 buffet style per person. If you want, we'll be there at 7 o'clock. We anticipate a few of the counties attending for Clemens. Washington will not be able to attend Washington County, but it's a part of the 10-county group, if you will. I just wanted to extend that invitation. Next Tuesday, the 13th at 7 p.m., Core Peak. We'll be there with baked chicken and fried shrimp and all the trimmings if anyone's interested. So thank you. All right.
Thank you. So there's no one here for finance. Okay, any other department reports? Any questions about the reports that we have in our packet?
I want to thank the finance department for including the chart of the proceeds from the surplus sales. I see that we had a total of $28,525. Was all that can go into the general fund, but certainly shows that we're getting something for the for what we're putting on Gulf Deals.
Instead of throwing it away.
Exactly.
I do have, I see Mr. Hedgepath is in the, here. Your report, I think you have a typo. You have it May 19, 2015. I think it's supposed to be September.
Yes, I think if he's like the rest of us, he uses the same template each month and he just forgot to change the date.
I thought we were a little bit more up to date than that one.
Back to the future.
Which report are you looking at?
I'm looking at your April 2015 monthly report, water report.
It has the wrong date on it.
It has the wrong date on it.
I mean, I printed one off that I sent to you. I've got August 2015 monthly report, September 18th.
Yeah.
That's the date.
Well, and one we got is April and May.
Do you mind if I come over and make sure I didn't just send them a list of the wrong one?
Okay.
What's your starting
Right
balance?
here, 21.
21,209,000.
That was the wrong one. We're supposed to have 27,724. Evidently, when I flipped it, with it being August, April, evidently I hit the wrong one. And I emailed it.
Okay. If you can get us an up-to-date copy.
Would it be okay if he includes it in the next month, so he'll have
Yes,
2
you
months?
can do 2 months. It was nothing, I mean, there's anything that would pop out at us.
Not really, service point number 1, you'll see the update when you get to next month. That's back end service. That one has been rebuilt. But nothing major.
And no more breaks of lines or redoing lines on 13.
Do have one thing coming up on Highway 13. I went to Miss Runfrey yesterday. We're trying to get an access road to one of the fire hydrants. The way the design was is kind of inaccessible for emergency vehicles. And they are in the process of bidding out to relocate a few more water lines where original plans left them. And then with the change at the 137 intersection and the turnaround, they're having to relocate those lines or put down new lines outside of the under edge of the pavement for one of the turnarounds.
So that will be.
So that's still ongoing.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any questions about any of the reports that we have? Hearing none, if you look at the correspondence, the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service has given us an update about a plan of action about doing, improving the landscape at the library.
And if I may, this was given to the library committee, and they shared that with me. And they said that they are taking on the responsibility of doing some of the first steps with the landscaping up close to the building, with the flower gardens.
I noticed in that, she talked about poor soil, which we already knew, but, there's no mention of comparing turfing.
No, that was not in their discussion from what I was told by Helen Mueller, who's I believe she's the chair of the committee. She gave me this information. But no, this is basically just the start small.
What, anything would be better? Yes. Okay, moving on to public hearings. Do we need to take a stretch break? Okay. Good. We were entertaining a public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to enter a public hearing for the Community Transportation Program Grant application.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. This is a lady who has kept us many hours reading through these reports.
All right, for the Community Transportation Grant, that's the grant that pays the administrative costs for the GITS program. It covers the two positions, my position and the transit supervisor or administrative assistant. It also covers all of our office costs, the grants, utilities, and supplies that we need. And this year, it's not different from last year. So, about that.
Okay, now it's time. Does anybody have any questions about the Community Transportation Program grant? Okay. I found a public comment.
I thought it was interesting and commendable the way that we come up with the county part. But that's good. It's thinking outside the box. Surplus and growth grant and contract with fees.
That's what we have to do. Think outside the box. And we appreciate that. Any other comments?
So it kind of is a pleasure to work with them on the board meetings, so we have that. Thank you, Teresa.
I did say there are also, the capital part is a part of that as well, and it's replacing two vehicles that have met their life expectancy and the copier. And to upgrade the copier from just a black copier to color.
Madam Chairman, I don't see anybody coming to the podium. I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Okay, motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's made second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. We have come out of public hearing. We can now vote to approve. I'll entertain a motion to approve doing this grant for the Community Transportation Program grant application to be sent in.
This is the FY17 grant. These are two grants that we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Go back again. Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the FY 2017 Community Transportation Program grant application.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. We'll get that one set off. I'll entertain a motion to enter in public hearing by FY 217 grant for the elderly and disabled operating grant for GITS.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now in in public hearing for the FY 2017 elderly and disabled operating grant.
Okay, this is 5310 funds, they're federal funds, and it's for enhanced mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities. It's a 50/50 grant. We have to come up with a 50% match. For the match, we are proposing to use our road funds for the year and contracts services. This grant is actually the same grant that is starting this year. We've just got the contract to start this year. It's a through-door service, which generally we provide a service that is supposed to be curb to curb, which we do yard to yard in a sense. But this would be a through-door service. There's an aide that can go with the clients, can go to their door to get them and take them to the door of, within the door of the provided service. And it's for seniors that are 65 or older and for persons with disabilities. And it also has a grocery store portion of it to try to help clients to be able to access healthy foods and their medicines and different things that they may need. We've got interest from clients that are saying that they don't have family members that can help and go in with them. And since we go mostly out of the county, it has become a problem sometimes with taking them into larger facilities. They can't find their way back to us. So this would help someone to go in with them to take them to their destination and to pick them back up from that.
That's an interesting component of this plan, because I actually recently had a call from someone, or email from a citizen, like getting access to healthy food. That's good to know.
In this particular scenario here, if a person is going to take a route that needs wheelchair, let's just suppose they don't have a wheelchair, or their type of wheelchair is not conducive to be put in a vehicle. Are we providing a wheelchair for that type of scenario?
We have not provided one to this point, but I am looking into trying to purchase one for that reason. And sometimes people, they use like a lift to be lifted up, but they don't get in the wheelchair. For me, it's safer for them to sit down. There is a place on the lift now for them to hold on to, which used not be. But so we are proposing to look into purchasing a wheelchair.
Okay.
Any other comments?
In Howard. I hope I never have to use that, but at one point I did have someone in the family that used it. Charges, I don't know anything about the charges or how that is handled for the individuals.
For seniors, most seniors don't have to pay. Either they fall into a category with home and community block care grants, which they pay the funds. We do take any donations that they want to provide to make the service go further, or it's a program that's called Elderly and Disabled Transportation Assistance Program. And we did approve some years ago for them to pay $1 per trip, which is $2 both ways. But we have not had to use that. We proposed that when we were running out of funds, and the funds were low. But with the grant funds that we're using now, there's not a cost associated with seniors to have to ride.
At that point, the comment was that it took like an hour and a half riding around the county picking up different ones, and they felt like, I think, had stated that it wouldn't have been out of the way to have picked them up later and gotten them home earlier rather than riding through. I don't really know that much about it, but thank you.
Well, this grant is a little bit different. The only thing is we only have one that's provided that day per se, because we only have the ability to do one. But we are a coordinated transportation system and not a medical transport. So in essence, people do have to ride around the route to make the cost affordable. But with this service, they may not have to. If they're the person that calls and schedules their appointment timely, then they would be able to get an individual service.
And there are costs, like someone who's going to like a community college, let's say, who can't drive or something, they have to, and there was a fee scheduling one of these applications.
Yeah, that's in the road grant, the fare structure.
And did you give us an age on the senior, was it 65?
For this grant, it's 65. For the other two services, it's 60 or above. But for this grant, it's 65 or disabled.
I'd like to just make a comment. It's a great application process, and your team and yourself do a wonderful job. Everything we talked about are federal funds, and even on the matching on this one, we've managed to do that without the match coming from the general fund. Very good. I want to state that on your behalf.
Seeing no one else approaching the podium, do I have a motion to come out of a public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the FY 217 elderly and disabled operating grant.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you. I believe we'll see you later.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on to old business. Ms. Scott, update. I believe you said that you had not received one.
I do not have any numbers in relation to the question that Commissioner Jordan asked earlier. And I apologize, I did not understand that I was supposed to have that information and bring it to the meeting today.
Just to update the board, so everybody's familiar, I don't feel that this is something that we can't share. I've discussed with you, Chairman, do you feel like it's more closed session, or is it, I would think it's probably something we can discuss.
I think you can make some general comments.
Yeah. I was contacted by a contractor who has been in touch with the new proposed restaurant owners at the Merchants Commerce Center, and they were doing some design in regards to trying to determine how much sewage capacity and what it would take to put a sewage system out there without having it connected with the county sewage system, as a result of the county letting them know that we were not ready at this time to add any additional clients onto our current system. And they, at this current time, it's a little bit beyond their budget to have that, to build a system themselves. It's not that feasible. And so we wanted to find out how much existing capacity that we currently have in our existing system, maybe be able to take on that much. I think it was less than 2,000 gallons a day. I know we're down to about 15,000 capacity on our current system, but what we're using with the schools and with the Clark Gates House Assisted Living Facility, we wanted to see if we could possibly squeeze that in and would assist them in being able to come a little bit sooner than having to wait and see what would happen down the road, where we're trying to get to as far as getting a sewer system. So we've asked MESCO to do some computation on what is the available capacity right now as we stand, without exceeding the 90% that the state has limited us to before having another sewer spray field in place. And it appears that the restaurant, they want to start construction, but for them to build a sewer system themselves, it's just, in other words, it puts a little bit too far out of their budget to make it feasible for what they want to do. So we're asking MESCO to do the computation, try to see where we are, and maybe we can allow them to add on to the current system while we wait to get a new system. So that's where we are on that.
Okay, moving on to the historic courthouse update.
You have before you the information, as I stated earlier, I received this morning about 8:40. Ms. Sass also called. She said that based upon everything that she has seen and a discussion with Mr. Timothy Crow, who works with the firm with Annie Elstoner out of Illinois, that they are much better qualified for what she sees as our issues. She said going forward, she would not be the consultant for this project if we decide to move forward with what she proposes. She said that she did enjoy looking at the building and would like to know the ultimate outcome of what happened. But the company that she has recommended, she said she feels like they are the best company for the type of work and the testing of the brick. I read it quickly this morning before we went to the personnel meeting, and Mr. Crow has said it will cost approximately $5,800 plus travel-related expenses to perform the initial stage of testing. They said that would be to review all of the reports that have been submitted so far from, whether it's Ms. Sass or from Andrews or from Clearscape. They want to visit the building, to examine the building, and then they will do a plumbness survey of the walls, because that will help identify the stresses that are present. And then that will also help identify the general extent of deterioration and the deterioration patterns. We will also look at the openings at selected locations so that he can look under the building to see what has been done and what needs to be done. I did forward this to James Andreas with Andrews Construction this morning, just so I could get his thoughts on some of the information in the first paragraph that was provided by Mr. Crow. I have not sent it to Clearscape, so I was going to do that after this meeting if there was any discussion that I needed to share with them, since they are the architectural firm.
Of course, we're all sitting here reading.
First time.
Yeah, for our first read through.
I see the word however, where it says however, physical testing may not be required. Just a real quick read, is that have any bearing on the initial $5,800 that we see here?
No. From my quick reading as well, the $5,800 is everything that's included in the second paragraph. My assumption, it says for phase 2, material studies and/or testing may be recommended. So that would be, I would assume the physical testing is the testing that would be referred to in phase 2.
Okay, so just
Phase 1 is
that goes to the sentence right before it on.
Where they will come in and do the observations and review all the paperwork and attempt to look under the building.
and do the plumbness survey.
Well, the travel-related expenses from their address won't be real small.
I wonder if they have offices at different places.
That's a good question.
I mean, if it's a large firm.
Are you thinking from conversations that this is Tim Crow coming to do all of this, or Tim and two?
Like I said, I don't know. I was on the phone with her maybe all of 3 minutes, and she said, I just sent you an email. And that's when she was telling me she was going to step away if we decided to go with them.
What, you just got this, I think, right now.
I got it at 8:40 this morning.
So you haven't really had the time to sit down and digest it, and they've done that, have you? assessment and a recommendation to the board?
No, sir, as I stated, I received it at 8:40 and went into personnel board meeting at 9. So I have only very quickly read it.
I think we need to table this until we can fully digest it and make an informed decision.
And also, we might contact this Tim Crow and get a better figure about the expenses, the travel expenses, and additional questions.
And that's one reason I did send it to James Andreas,
Yeah,
to see if he had heard of him through other preservation work that he had done.
And we could do clearscapes as well, since they're on board as well,
Yeah.
because we don't have a night meeting this morning.
Next meeting, yeah.
Okay, do entertain a motion to table this until November.
I'm Chairman, I'll make that motion that we table this library communications until our November
Historic courthouse.
historic courthouse, I'm sorry.
Okay, motion's been made, second.
Second.
Second. Motion has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of tabling the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed? So you'll get in touch with them, and we can also get in touch with the Clearscapes and James and get responses for them. Okay, that concludes our old business. Okay, new business. And this time we have some, sometimes we don't have pleasurable things to do today. We have something very pleasurable to do.
I think we missed,
Oh, GIS, excuse me. I'm jumping the gun. I didn't read my, I have my notes here, but I didn't read them. Okay, GIS discussion. You heard from Mr. Lambert earlier in the public comments. Certainly there has been concerns about our GIS from the citizens as well as that we've had concerns. Open the floor for discussion.
I think that it's commendable that our current GIS vendors has come before the board to give an explanation as to why some of the issues we're experiencing may be happening. Certainly, I appreciate that, and I do recognize also that our issues are significant. We need it corrected. We need the best product we can have for the county and our citizens and our business counterparts as well. I would like to see, as I said before, I would like to see us go through the process of an RFP just to see what is out there, but at the same time, I would like to see our current vendors participate in that so that, we could make a above board decision that is visible, it's out there where, it's defined as to what we can expect. And I would like to see us go forward with the RFP and have our current vendors participate in that as well with the amenities that they have indicated they're willing to do in order to try to maintain business with Gates County.
Okay. Comments?
Well, I have no problem with what Mr. Jordan just said. I was going to suggest just that we withhold the RFP and suggest that Atlas work with our tax department and try to come up with a solution in a very timely manner. I don't want to set a time limit because I'm not sure what it would take. But I think that there has been a communication problem with what we have, and it's been from both directions, from our departments and their departments, and I feel with their knowledge of the system, of the Gates County system, that they could repair and redirect our program so that it can be usable to everyone, surveyors, attorneys, real estate, and whoever else needs it. And at that time, after it is revised and updated and made really usable, then we can go back and talk about whether we want to hire someone to maintain the system or whether it can be an in-house maintenance.
Okay. Any other comments?
I commented that I was in Hertford County. They have 2 people in there, and they have a pretty high-tech mapping machine, I think that I saw in there. They're doing some of their, if I may speak to you back there, if you'll answer this, I think they're doing some of their in-house, their GIS plotting, and they're nodding their head that they are. But it would require a lot of training, new equipment, and another body, that kind of thing. That might be something down the road, but they've got that. I don't know if it's new equipment. Might just be their old equipment in a new location. So I'm not sure about that. I thought the RFP had already gone out, but find that it hasn't. No big deal there. I took Mr. Lambert's comments to be sincere, and I really appreciate him taking ownership in his part or whatever their part is in the situation. And I agree with Billy that it's a communication situation. But I think we all agree that it's something that has to be addressed quickly. As I sit here and think about all the title insurance that's been placed on deeds and what position an attorney could find himself in if he had put title insurance on something, and of course he believes it to be right. But I'm just curious where the responsibility might fall if something was challenged, and how far back a person would be able to go on a piece of property that they bought, thinking that they were getting what they were getting. But to GIS people's defense, it's the information that you're given and what you can confirm that dictates the accuracy of what's out there.
I'd like to address a question to Hayes and Kathy, and just let you make an educated guess as to how long it would take to revamp the system so that it's relatively accurate.
I feel as given the opportunity, we've got a couple things in mind where we can go back to recorded surveys, and we have some ideas on how to find surveys that may not have been originally used because they weren't referenced in the tax database. I feel from working with Kathy and we're working with Jennifer and doing some of these other processes, I think in a matter of 6 to 8 weeks, we will have been able to make a very large, and hopefully with some of your help as well, Mr. Felton, if you know some areas and you can have a little bit of time you can spend with us. I'm thinking in that 6 to 8 weeks period, y'all would see a very large change, and we would have a workflow in process, a workflow in process at that point, so then everybody knows on this Tuesday of every month, the GIS is updated, and then on that Wednesday, all the players can look at that GIS website and say, okay, why didn't this edit make it? Well, the system's broke down again. So I think there just has to be some accountability, and I think we could. Kathy, do you agree with that?
You mean in terms of revamping the entire county, Mr. Felton, in terms of identifying some of the easier fixes, probably within 8 weeks. Some of the more challenging questions, probably a little longer, 4 to 6 months, based on information we can get from the deeds or researching plats. But some of the easier fixes, probably within that 8-week window of fixing the known, and then every month we're on a regular update basis. So let's say by the second week of December, all the updates from November would have been in place based on ownership.
And of course, as you make these corrections, it does, I believe you use, it self-corrects I mean, it cleans up the records.
And I think that the biggest thing that users are gonna recognize is we believe now that we're able to get a scheduled export out of the tax system, which there for about 14, 18 months, we didn't have that ability. And now that ability is there again. So on a monthly basis, you're gonna be able to see the ownership changes, the transfers, even if there wasn't a mapping change. Any real estate change or the ownership change, you're now gonna be able to see the new ownership on the GIS website. And you haven't had that capability for quite some time now, and I feel like that is where a lot of the questions and confusion is coming from. So that is, we're close to having that ironed out. Like I said, I spoke with the camera vendor yesterday, and we think we have that ironed out.
One of the things that I believe, from having gone through this process in a number of counties in North Carolina over the years, that is missing here, and we could work on this, is develop a spreadsheet list of those parcels that we know and that y'all know locally, the people that are involved with land records in this county. A spreadsheet list of those that we know are problematic. Here's a 900-acre timber tract down here, and the only thing we have is a deed with a 2-line reference of 900 acres plus or minus. And it's the only document that we're able to put our fingers on and say there's 900 acres there. There's not even really a good description of where it is. And we've had to map a lot of these parcels as best we could from adjoiners and from what other clues are available to us. I think one of the things that would be most helpful in this process would be for us to develop. We will do that. It's our responsibility to develop a list, a spreadsheet, and it'll become a hit list, as Kathy said. Some of these are going to take 4 to 6 months. Some of these may take years. We've got parcels in Tyrrell County and Hyde County. They're sitting out there. We may never know the answers to some of these things. And in some of the areas where the properties are not that valuable, the timber rights are not that important, some of these parcels may take years and years and years to resolve. But at least build that hit list as a spreadsheet, and then we together, all of us involved in this, can be working on that hit list as we go through this process. And it'll be the spreadsheet will be available to everyone working on this, so that when something happens, a document comes through, we know to flag that one, to know, hey, this one's going to solve that one over here. And that's a process that we've used successfully, and it kind of formalizes all the problems as much as we can do it.
We've approved issuing RFP, I believe, at a previous meeting. And I think where we're heading is that today we would probably make another decision on to withhold it. But I would like to hear what our planner director would have to say about withholding the RFP to work with our current vendors for an 8-week period to see how far we can correct things, and then to see if we even need to move forward with putting an RFP out there.
Ms. Baptiste? Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
I believe that we can make substantial progress, because with the type of work that we would need done on our GIS, the kind of quotes that we would get would probably be really pricey. Being in the building and inspection department and the planning department, when we take in permits, people usually come in with a survey. Most times they use the GIS. But for a few surveys a few people that have come in to get permits, Ms. Hoffler being one, their survey did not match what was on the GIS, because she has a tract of land that is identified as unknown or totally blank, but it's her tract of land. So we have a lot of holes. Last time I looked at the data that was given by, I received from Hayes
and used it on, because I do have GIS on my desktop. I don't really use the website GIS. So I get the data from them and it's updated by them. So I identified probably about like 200 or so parcels that we did not have any information on. They were just whole, they didn't have tax parcel numbers, owner numbers, any of those things. So if we can get it cleared up, and another person came in for a building permit, their survey was completely different than what was on our GIS. I pulled the original survey from the Register of Deeds, I gave it to Larry, and he said, this was our error, we drew it wrong, we misread it. It's things like that that need to be done, going back and actually looking at the old surveys that have been filed, making sure that they're done correctly. Because we do need these tracks to be correct. When people come and get building permits, we need to make sure that they're not putting their buildings on other people's land. It needs to be correct. Because when we give these people a permit, we're saying, we looked at it, we touched bases, it's fine. And that could get a little bit dicey between property owners when they get into it. You're on my property, no, my survey. So we just need to make sure that it is correct. Given the price, if we want to explore that option, that's fine. If you want to stay with the current vendor, we need to work with them closely to make sure that this is done correctly and that we represent the citizens correctly.
So you would not be opposed to us making a decision today to withhold the RFP for 2 months or 90 days till you work with the vendors?
No, I would not. I would not.
Thank you.
I believe that we could give them a fair chance.
I move that we put the release of the RFP on hold until at least January of 2016. And at our January meeting, that Atlas and our tax and plan will come back and give us an updated report. And we'll just see what the status is at that time and see what we need to do from there.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
motion's been made and properly second that we hold off on doing an RPO until RFP, sorry, until January 2016.
At least that.
90 days.
You do not need to at all.
Okay. And give time to see what corrections can be made or what solutions that they might can find. I have one question before we vote on this. We talked about including the tax office and planning, but what about the register of deeds?
Yeah, she could be included as well. Stephanie, with Stephanie's knowledge and her background working, with
Title searches.
attorney, yeah, she's got some valuable knowledge. I wouldn't be put off if she was included on that as well. I think the more knowledge, the better, and certainly with her expertise.
Well, I'm saying they have the surveys and plots that have been officially recorded.
Right. I think that's a great idea. I think, and Stephanie and Kathy Horton involved, yeah.
I agree.
I would like to add too that, what Mr. Lambert and Atlas brought forward today has answered a lot of questions that has happened. So, certainly agree.
Would the Commissioner Felton amend his to include the register of deeds?
Yes, I'm not sure whether, when you repeated it, whether you stated that in our January meeting, they all come back as a group and give us a progress report.
Okay. And second, will you?
I'll amend my second.
Okay, so the issue before us that in January 2016, that the tax, register of deeds, and Hayes Lambert will come back with a progress report to the commissioners concerning IGIS. Yes, ma'am.
You left me out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jennifer, how could I do that?
I don't know.
And including the planner as well. Please accept my apology. Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, so, everybody's got their marching orders for that. To report back to us. Okay, the next is, a question came up at our last meeting. Do we need a stretch? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute stretch break. Okay, we will get back. One last item under old business is the nursing home committee. If you remember from our October meeting or our September meeting, there was we needed to form a second advisory committee. We've spoken with Deborah Sherrod here, Sharon. And it looks like it would be more advantageous for us to add 2 to the current committee. And we have the emails with the information that we have read. What comments, questions?
Well, Madam Chairman, based on the correspondence from this year, it looks like that the joint committee would be what we would need to cover the Gates House. And as such, we would need to make a written request to the Department of Health and Human Services, directed to the Deputy Secretary of Human Services, requesting that they authorize us to do this. And my proposed motion would be in the form of tasking the county manager to develop that letter to the Department of Health and Human Services, requesting authorization and to members to make our current nursing home advisory committee a joint committee. So that would, at that point, when we got the authorization, we could move forward in advertising and adding the members as needed.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan has made a motion to direct our county manager to request we could have a joint committee to include Dianese as well as the Gates House. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Any other discussion?
Just general comment based on the literature that we got before us. And now this going through the proper channels, and what I read was going through the ombuds, right? Okay. All right. So we'll sort of rectify that over what's taken place up to this point. When I was reading it, I was thinking, we're talking about 2 different entities, privately owned, both of them. Does anybody see any bias, any opportunity for any bias or conflict of interest in something like that? That just came to my mind.
Are you talking about for the members?
For the committee itself.
In the documentation that Ms. Sheard had provided, there's a list and it says if you have a relative who's in one of the, you cannot be on the committee. You have any sort of vested interest, you cannot serve on the committee.
Because you could sway that person to go to this one versus that. Very good. Okay, so in the training part for when this joint committee is formed, I would think that would be maybe a sign-off sheet or something saying, I have no relatives, such and such, such. And so they have on signature that they're aware that if that occurs, that they would have to recuse themselves or remove themselves.
There is an application that was in some of our information where they have to answer questions, and they have to sign off. If you have a member, that's a client, if you have somebody who is working in your family at one of the facilities, there was a whole list of questions.
And it's not the county application.
No, it's not a county application.
And that's why we go through the proper channels ombudsman because they refined it, they know the details, we just know the superficial stuff.
Correct. And, yes, ma'am.
You were talking about whether or not they would go from one to the other. There are different rules for being in Gates House than there are
Right.
Right. Their status could change though and have a need to go from one
It
to
could,
the other.
yeah.
Sure. Thank you for bringing that question up.
Okay, motion has been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that we request our county manager to get written authorization from the state.
I think that would need to come from the board, county
Okay.
development.
Okay, that she would create the letter for us to sign off on. To send to the state ombudsman committee so that we can get permission to have a joint committee. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. So you'll get that and we will request those. That be happening. And once we get that paperwork, we can advertise for 2 additional people to join the committee. I believe that does end our old business. We're beginning our new business, and the first one is the recognition of planning board and board of adjustment members. We have 3 members today to recognize. The first one is Wade Askew, who has served 3 years on the planning board, and we certainly appreciate his work that he's done. Unless you don't realize when you are on these committees, it's just not one meeting a month that you have to work, get as many hours in preparation for that. And we really, and you always get your due diligence, and that's what we want in our board members. So if you'll come up and accept this plaque, and it reads, present to Wade Askew, planning board member, in recognition of your dedicated service to Gates County 2012 to 2015. And thank you for the job well done. So you won't get it. And thank you for it.
And I'd just like to say thank y'all for allowing me to serve on the planning board. It was an honor to serve the county.
Thank you, man. Good job.
The next one to present is to Charles Chuck Brothers. Chuck served 6 years on the planning board and served as chairman. And once again, he put in his due diligence. As he went from place to place, he was on the phone calling Raleigh, calling the district, getting information that we needed so that we could make an informed decision on the planning board. I was lucky enough to serve with Wade and with Chuck, and I certainly appreciate their efforts over those courses of the year. Thank you for a job well done.
Thank you.
Chuck will give you the box and the plastic as well.
All right, thank you.
And finally, I don't believe Graham Hawkins is here. We'll make sure he gets his plaque. He served for many years on the Board of Adjustments. And we'll see that he gets that. I didn't serve on the Board of Adjustments, but I know Mr. Hawkins, and I'm sure he did his good job. Yes. Before we move on, I do have one additional item concerning planning. I received on Monday a letter, and I will read it from, it says, Chairman Hoffler, please accept this letter as my resignation as a member of the Gates County Planning Board. I appreciate the opportunity to serve the people of Gates County. I have strived to carry out my responsibilities with integrity, wisdom, knowledge, and fairness to all citizens of the county. And that was sincerely Brenda Felton. I think I can speak for the entire board that we accept this resignation with regret. I've served for a short period of time on the planning board with Mrs. Felton. She was one who did her due diligence. She studied, she made sure she was well informed, and like I say, we will miss her. But, and of course that leaves an opening that we will have to fill. So. Okay, moving on. Our favorite grant application person.
Hello again. This grant application is actually for this fiscal year. The state was late in putting out the grant application because they were waiting for the state to approve the budget. So this is our annual contract rural operating assistance program funds, and I hope you all will approve this grant since we're already spending quite a bit of money for the last 3 months. But this grant encompasses the EdTab, which is Elderly and Transportation Assistance Program, the Rural General Public Funds, which is where we get the fare structure, and for the workforce transfer dollars, Employment Transportation Assistance Program. It is, the only thing with this grant is that generally this is where we come up with our plan for the year, and this year the only change that I was proposing to make was to add a day that's a trip to Virginia Beach. Currently we go to Norfolk on first and second Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 9 to 1, and we've had so many people to need to go to Virginia Beach, and we've taken them with the Norfolk group, but sometimes it gets a little long with the Norfolk and Virginia Beach together, and a lot of clients that have kidney problems have to go to this Virginia Beach facility or Virginia Beach General Hospital, and we were asking to add that as on first Thursdays from 10 to 1. That's the only change that I'm proposing to make from last year's.
And that's not listed in the current one that we have, Virginia Beach?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's listed on this
application.
Yeah, this application.
It's listed on the application. Okay, any questions? Certainly, if there's a need for our citizens to go to Virginia Beach and, of course, dialysis, and we have so many people that need that, and the complications from that, certainly we needed to include that to make it. So, I'll entertain a motion to approve this grant application.
Madam Chair. Go ahead, Ms. Smith. Yes. So moved. I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item of business is a reappointment to the County ABC Board. You had in your packet that Mark Goodman, the General Manager of the Gates County ABC Stores, has requested Perry Ewer to be reappointed to the ABC Board for another 3 years. In information on our desk when we came, you saw the application from Mr. Perry. I will entertain a motion.
I move to be reappointed, Perry will be reappointed.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. So he is reappointed. And he will tell Mr. Goodman. Okay. Amendment to the customer service cash management policy. You had that in your packet as well. If you notice on the revised one, there are just a couple of, what? Oh, excuse me? There was a second one on that list? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I was moving on. I didn't. Mr. Goodwin has also requested the reappointment of Ronald Taylor to served from 2014 to 2017. Mr. Taylor has been serving this time, but a regular disappointment cannot be located.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve that recommendation for that appointment.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second. A motion's been made and second to appoint Ronald Taylor to the ABC board. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. It's nice to have two people up here trying to keep us straight. We now will move to the item amendment to the customer service cash management policy. If you find one in our packet, or you see there are only a couple of minor changes. Ms. Pittman, I talked to her, and this is in conjunction with some changes that our auditors requested. If you look under cash receipts, item 4, it's just a word from customer service division to customer service department. There was one change. If you look on page 3, number 8, 8 and 9, 8 really didn't change, just the number, and then 9, it says the customer service department will present the bank deposit slip to the finance office daily. And then again, on reconciliation of word divisions changed to department.
Again, tax department. Number
Please
9.
there was,
Oh,
if you picked up your packet early and the information was in there, the auditors got back to us afterwards. So this is the one that's not actually in your packet. I know on at least 2 of yours, and Ms. Hawthorne's, it says revised 9/29, I believe is the date.
Yeah, I do have the correct
Okay.
information.
And it's in red highlighted.
Right, it's in red, the ones that are changed.
Okay, so you haven't got the relevant.
You're not looking at the correct one,
This is
sir.
correct.
This is correct.
The one I've got, you're not going to have it.
No, he should have in front of you on the table.
On the table.
Yeah, I've got the correct one.
Okay, this one. This one.
Yes, yes, I have that. What item are you on when you look at that?
I was on page 3,
Okay.
and the number 8, I mean, they put 8 in, and then what was originally 8, 9 becomes 9, they added 9.
Okay.
And reconciliation, it was just a, change of word from division to department. And then on the back, once again, 9 was added, 8 came up later, and then 9 was the tax department will present the bank deposit slip to the finance officer daily. And then just the change from division to department. Okay. You have seen the revisions, and like I say, this is generated from our auditors. Are there any, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept this amendment to the cash management and investment policy as presented to us this morning.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion's been properly second. Any further discussion?
We have a tax collector with us. You're aware of those changes, the LLC?
Yes, sir, and one thing, Diane Hendricks, who was chief responsible for the wording and the language in it, and although I interject good points from the tax department, now that we have assumed that role of taking collections back, I think it's gone really well. We've, coordinated our bank runs, with security and law enforcement, and it's gone really well, so, yes, sir.
Diane, do you have?
Yes. We're collaborating. Finance offices really remove themselves as being a backup providing bank deposits and that type. So we've been working hand in hand to make this work, and it's gone exceptionally well.
Well, great, that's always good to hear.
Yes.
Any other comments or discussion? Hear none? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that is approved. Any other new business?
Yes, the health department.
Okay, the health department. Okay, the health department, the Medicaid cost settlement and the loss of local funds. The loss of local funds, I know people like to hear those words. Okay, can I-
In your handouts this morning, this was forwarded to you by email, I believe, last week or again this week. But there's a memo from Jerry Parks, who is the health director for Albemarle Regional. And basically, to summarize it, the North Carolina DMA, which is the Division of Medicaid Assistance, they proposed a deviation from the current approved Medicaid cost settlement methodology, and they did not ask for any input from the Center for Medicaid Services. And if they change the methodology, it will result in not only a large reduction going forward, but they're also asking for payback from years past. They said the 13-14 payment was made on or about May of last year. DMA now proposes to retroactively apply methodology resulting in a statewide payback of $22,809,087 from 76 of the 85 local health departments in the state. Based upon this, the Albemarle Regional Health Services would have to pay back $390,164.14. And he goes on to say that going forward, they use a new methodology to cost settle public health, resulting in the continued and ongoing reduction of federal dollars. Mr. Parks says his estimation of the impact will be in the neighborhood of a 50% reduction. Unfortunately, due to this dispute, the 2014 cost settlement has been stalled and will not show us expected revenue in our upcoming audit. For perspective, it will show as a loss of revenue in the neighborhood of $600,000. And he is asking that commissioners contact DMA and inquire of them the rationale for the proposed retroactive change in methodology.
So the $600,000 reduction was for a region, how big?
That is what's going to show in the audit for this year, for the Albemarle Regional.
That
Is
includes
it 10 or 16?
No, it's just the 10. No, it's not 10.
No, it's Pasco, Clemens, Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Bertie, and Gates, 7.
7 of us.
Of course, I'm sure it's prorated by population, but still, that's a hit for us.
And he did, and I did not print, we did not print because it was longer, but there was an explanation from Parker Poe out of Raleigh, who sent a letter about the cost report issues and Medicaid money owed to the local health departments. That was included in your email, and it explained some of the cost reports and legal issues that went to numerous heads of associations and to the Deputy Secretary of Health Services, the Secretary of DHHS, the Secretary for Medical Assistance, Public Health. What Mr. Parks is requesting is, he has already met with Pasco-Tank County Commissioners. They are willing and ready to write a letter, and they sent to us, I believe unfortunately I just closed it, a sample of the, yes, I have to find it again, I apologize, it's the wrong button. And he sent yesterday the letter that they are going to use to send to Raleigh.
And I think this is the blank portion
Yes,
of
and
it.
that is the one that you have a copy of. And I've got,
I think that we should send that letter in
Yes.
addition to the Department of Medicaid Assistance, also to Senator Cook and.
The delegation.
Yes, Howard Hunt as well.
I agree. I think we need to send it to everybody, even the governor.
I have a list of all the counties too. I sit on that board with y'all's approval. Thank you. But we discussed that and discussed it rather than sending individual letters that, just signing from all the commissioners together. And all the commissioners were out at our last board meeting. We all decided on that. The payment schedule is a little heavy for the Albemarle region when you look at the entire state for Medicaid rebate. The cost settlement.
I mean, of course, in our region is one of the poorest regions, and we have a huge population who depend on Medicaid for assistance in their medical treatments. So, I mean, it's a double whammy.
if I may, this came this morning at 10 till 9 from Jerry Parks. And he said this may help us put in perspective the current cost settlement dispute. And this was sent to Jordan Hennessy, Bob Stanberg, and Howard Hunter, as well as other people within the regional health department itself. While preparing to meet with the Finance Committee of the Pasquotank County Board of County Commissioners this afternoon, at the request of the county manager, I generated additional information regarding the impact of the current dispute on ARHS. As we speak, NCDMA is either holding or holding up the payment of the following federal funds. 10% holdback from the 2011 cost settlement, $67,762.94. 10% holdback from the 2012 cost settlement, $64,843.28. 10% holdback from the 2013 cost settlement, $85,056.24, for a subtotal of $217,662.46. They're currently withholding 100% of the 2014 cost settlement in the amount of $877,476.17, for a grand total of $1,095,138.63. As you may see, we are discussing a number of which would be considered rather large by any reasonable measurement. This is just my part, Albemarle Regional Health Services. The number statewide could eclipse 50 to 60 million federal dollars being held hostage by NCDMA for as of yet unforeseen reasons. To date, all indications point to NCDMA's continued refusal to address our points of contention and plan to stay their current course, that being to do everything in their power to minimize the flow of federal funds to local public health. Thanking you in advance for your attention to this matter, Jerry Parks.
Well, one thing that comes to my mind after Commissioner Freeman made his statement about collective signatures, responding collectively instead of individually, is if we have, they have a formula, they're stating that they're in a different methodology. Collectively, we need to have an input on that methodology too. I think that would be better than working with the other counties to come up with one. Rather, if we're going to respond as a group, then we need to be on the same base, the same footing for what can be because they're not going to come up with a methodology for us and a methodology for Pasquotank and one for Bertie. So they're going to come up with one. So if we came up with one, it might give a little more power, I think.
Yeah, a regional one.
A regional for a set of county.
And that's what, in some of the other information, that's part of what Jerry Parks is saying. They did not ask the local health department.
They didn't ask us.
They just, at the state level, decided this is what we're going to do.
I'm just saying, going forward, if we're going to we're gonna rebut what they're trying to do, because we want all of them. We want them to do away with what they're holding on Sunday.
And what is that rationale for holding it?
That is what he indicated, that they've not responded as to what they're going to do or why they're going to do
It
this.
helps their budget. That's one reason.
Well, the thing about it is, the old system is what we wanted them to stay with.
Right.
They've come up with a new methodology, so, you know, our letter to them basically is to keep the system as it is, or provide some kind of methodology that does not penalize us from receiving massive amounts of funds. So, you know, I think we should all sign it as a board, rather than just have the chairperson sign it.
That's a good idea.
And,
All of us sign it, yes, I agree.
And I still feel that, you know, we should send it as a county to DMA and copies to our senator and our House of Representatives as well. That way, we know they already get it from other counties, but they know that, hey, Gates County is certainly mindful of what's going on, and we want them to intervene as much as possible.
And, you know, this affects the lives of so many people in our county, because so many people depend on this. And what's going to happen to them? I mean, we're talking life and death, some of these people with the medical services.
And may I suggest also, thanking Commissioner Jordan, that possibly we should touch with that same letter that our U.S. Senator and our U.S. House of Representatives.
Federal level, I mean,
Because the money comes from the federal government, and they are the ones that close it off the pipeline at the state level.
I don't have a problem with copying them on it, Butterfield and Senator Well.
But especially when they don't say what they're going to use the money for.
Well, it's probably going to go to general fund.
Or probably go to the Piedmont area of the state. Okay, so I hear, entertain a motion to send we send a letter and to NI.
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion that we have our county manager to develop a letter to be sent to DMA and the copies to our state and federal senators and congressmen, House of Representatives, as we discussed. Also with
Signed by all.
signed by all. That would be my motion, and I'll comment.
Second. I'd second that motion.
Motion's been made, a second, no comments.
I always like to mention that, you know, we are a Tier 1 county. I don't think that would hurt to put that in our letter as well, that, you know, counties that are Tier 1 suffer significantly as a result of this type of cut.
And I don't know if we have access to how many people are receive these funds, or how many patients or clients that they have in Gates County Medicaid. But, you know, there's certainly, there's a, making it personal. But I don't know if those statistics are available. Okay, motion's been made, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That really is disturbing to me, this backlash. Okay, do we have any citizen comments? The High Sheriff is here.
Just wanted to walk in, just wait a second, since you all were all here. What I spoke to you this morning about, we now have a substitute custody for the murder of the young man down here on 37.
Thank you.
As of in the last 15, 20 minutes. And he was arrested, will be arrested, fellow's name is Aaron Holland out of Portsmouth, Virginia.
One person?
We're multiple suspects. This is the trigger for him. Just want to let you all know. I spoke to Ms. Poplar earlier this morning to let us know that that's come to be as we speak.
Very good, very good.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay, any citizen comments? Okay, we will start with the commissioner's comments. And I think I'll start with myself today. Jen started at the other end. You know, we support various things, and Albemarle Hopeline helps women abuse or who have been abused. And in their newsletter, for your information, Gates County, this is per Gates County, we had 108 victims served by the Hopeline over the past year. 35 spent nights at that shelter. 166 attended counseling sessions. 198 applicants and 141 court services were given to residents of Gates County. 122 crisis calls and 59 prevention and education and outreach participants. Sometimes that goes under the radar, but there is a lot of victims in domestic violence. And that is one of the organizations that we have access to, our citizens, that can help women and children who are being abused. Just wanted to give them a thank you for the work that they do for the county and make us aware of what they do. Once again, thank you for coming and sitting through. We have almost got through in record time today. And, I believe Monday is Columbus Day, or we're celebrating that. Certainly our country is kind of, the Native Americans were here, but that's certainly began the European influence on American history.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your participation. And I just want to thank my colleagues up here for their participation today, and I think we accomplished a lot.
All right, I too want to thank everyone for being here and being a part of our meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the county. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of the volunteer members of committees and boards of Gates County. There are numerous ones, and I know many of our citizens serve on them. Many of those committees and boards are unpaid positions, and we just thank you for that time, because we need these committees in order to do the job that we do. So I send out my best kudos for that, and ask that you would continue the good work. I would ask that Commissioner Hopper mentioned the Albemarle Hopeline, which I attend that meeting once a year. There is an address if anyone wanted to submit a donation. If you would allow, I would to read that address where donations can be made. If anyone would like to make a donation to the Albemarle Hopeline, you can make it by sending it to Albemarle Hopeline, P.O. Box 2064. That's 2064, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, 27906-2064. And as Commissioner Chair Hoffman has mentioned, that is a very important organization for our citizens in the county, and any support that they get certainly will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for being here.
And Doris Hawkins, who is a resident of Gates County, is a member of their board in Sunbury.
Thank you for your attendance, your attention, your dedication and service to Gates County, and just look forward to each person that's here and everyone that does come to show their dedication to the county. It's all appreciated. Thank you.
I would like to reiterate and follow through with that, but your presence is a strong presence. We're glad to have you here. You do bring attention to the issues. We do get telephone calls. My colleagues here, your commissioners, as well as myself. We're proud to work with all of you, and we're proud to work for the county. And I'm always glad to see my fellow commissioners, county manager, and other county employees embrace and encourage what's going on in the county. Thank you.
And if I may,
Mhm.
thank you to the sheriff's department.
Oh, yes.
Doing a good job.
That's right. Certainly that anytime you have an unsolved murder, it's nice to kind of have someone brought to justice in this. Okay, that brings us to the end of our public session. We will take a break at this time and before we go to closed session. Or do we need to go in closed session and then take a recess? Which would be easier?
Maybe we can do it now.
Okay, we would like to enter a closed session and pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 111, on legal and personnel issues. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None, so we'll adjourn.